What's going on, everyone? Welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Dutchie. Today, we're going to look at a headline that got some attention because of who said it, not necessarily because it changes the game, but it is interesting. So what are we talking about? Well, it involves Roger Stone, one of Donald Trump's oldest allies and one of the most controversial names in American politics, who said Trump could outdo Democrats by rescheduling cannabis. Just add another name to that list. Now, it's not that Stone is suddenly a major player in cannabis policy. He isn't part of Congress, as we know. He isn't part of the DEA or the DOJ. And lawmakers in Washington aren't hanging on his every word. But Stone, as we know, he's a big personality. He's been around cannabis conversation before. And let's face it, whenever he speaks up, it does spark headlines. So today, let's break down what he said, his history with cannabis, and what we're hearing from inside the Trump camp right now that involves the timing of rescheduling and why this is more really about attention and narrative than actual policy substance. So let's get into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Dutchie. All right, here's the top line. Roger Stone suggested that Trump could step in, reschedule cannabis, and frame it as a win, something Democrats have talked about for years but haven't actually delivered on, which we're very aware of. So that's it. There's no policy announcement here. There's no insider leak. It's just Stone saying to Trump he could do what Democrats couldn't. But let's face it, because it is Roger Stone, he's a figure who thrives on controversy. It's about to get picked up everywhere. And that's good as far as pushing this conversation forward. It's also important to note that Stone isn't new to this issue. He's not really just tossing one-liners here. Back in 2017, he co-founded the United States Cannabis Coalition, a group that was set up to push Trump to keep campaign promises on legalization. He shared his personal stories about his father using cannabis during cancer treatment, and he's been very vocal that reform is indeed long overdue. So he does have history with the issue here, but here's the nuance. Even with that background, as we know, Congress isn't looking at Roger Stone as a serious voice on cannabis. Policymakers aren't turning to him either for guidance, and his influence here, let's face it, is limited. But what he does bring, though, is a spotlight, and when he attaches his name to cannabis reform, as we know, it amplifies the conversation, which is the whole point here. So here's where the real story comes in, and it's not just about Roger Stone right now. It's about timing, what everybody's been asking lately. Inside Trump's circle, there's a broad belief that rescheduling will happen. The question isn't if, the question is when. Some argue that the announcement should come closer to the midterms. The logic there is simple. Time it for maximum political impact. Drop it just before voters head to the polls, energize younger voters, independents, and parts of the Republican base that already favor cannabis reform. And then others say, why wait? Make the move sooner. Do it early so we can build momentum, show action, and give Trump more runway to claim credit as the one who finally delivered on cannabis reform. So this is a tug of war going on right now, whether to hold the cards for later or play it now. And that may explain why we haven't seen any movement right now. So really, the debate is less about the merits of reform, and it's more about the announcement itself and how it creates the most upside for Trump and the Republican Party. So that's important to think about because there is a lot of euphoria in this industry right now. But again, manage expectations, because we all know when it comes to a committee making one decision on the same page, that takes time. So let's go back to the original point of this video. Where does Roger Stone fit in all this? Let's face it, he's not the one making the decision, but by speaking up, he keeps cannabis reform in the conversation. And for Trump, who pays close attention to what stories are getting picked up right now, that can matter. Let's face it, Stone's voice doesn't drive policy, but it adds volume. It reminds people that Democrats talked about reform, but obviously didn't deliver. So it keeps the topic alive while the campaign weighs in on timing. All these moving parts definitely will add up one day. So that's Stone's role here. Not policymaker, not decision maker, but attention getter in all of this. So really the bigger takeaway isn't that Roger Stone has influence over cannabis reform. The bigger takeaway here is that Trump's circle is very aware of the political opportunity here. Cannabis is indeed one of the few issues that cuts across party lines. Polls show that Republicans, Democrats, and independents all lean towards supporting reform in some form. Younger voters are overwhelmingly in favor, even seniors as well. So for Trump, this is a wedge issue he can turn to his advantage. So the question now is, as we've all said, when? And that's why this debate over timing is so important right now. So Stone doesn't set the timeline, but by speaking out, he reinforces the idea that this is on the table and that Trump could seize it as a political advantageous moment, which a lot of us here I think already know and do believe in. So here's where we land in all this. Roger Stone's comments, they're interesting, but they can't change policy. They're interesting because they bring more attention to a topic that's already being discussed behind the scene in Trump's orbit. Like I say, keep the conversation going. Stone himself has a history with cannabis, and he's always been vocal in supporting reform. But his words, as we know, they don't carry weight in Congress. They don't drive what the DOJ and the DEA decide. The real story here today is all about timing. Some in Trump's camp want to hold rescheduling for maximum impact around the midterms, while others are arguing to move it sooner to build momentum. And that debate may explain again why things have stalled right now. Stone's comments, they don't solve that, but they do keep the spotlight on cannabis reform right now. And that's exactly the kind of attention that Trump knows how to use to his advantage. He has to wait for the most advantageous moment, because if he's going to reschedule cannabis, it's going to be all about politics. So to wrap this up, Roger Stone's statement doesn't move policy, it doesn't move markets, but it does remind us that cannabis reform is in play, that timing matters, and that Trump's camp is weighing how to use it strategically. And in politics, sometimes that's the whole point here. Keep the conversation alive until the moment comes to make the move. So as much as people want an announcement now, this is all about political maneuvering right now that's going on in Washington. So that's it today for our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Dutchie. Leave your comments below. What do you think about what's going on behind the scenes, if you were to guess, as to how this is playing out when it comes to reform with Roger Stone's voice, and how the Trump administration could be viewing this? We'd love to get your feedback, so leave your comments below. As usual, if you like this breakdown, make sure to give this video a like, share it with your network, and make sure to smash on that bell for all notifications, and greatly appreciated if you could subscribe to us here at TDR. That's it for now. Like I always say, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later.